Blood sugar management is essential. And when you understand it and are able to measure yourself, maybe with a glucometer or a CGM, then you're going to have a lot more information, a lot more awareness, a lot more ability to be able to track what's happening and manipulate it. Understanding how it works with your metabolism, especially when you say you're stuck, especially when you say you can't lose weight, especially when you're frustrated living in a body with belly fat. If you don't know how your blood sugar works, if you don't know how food affects you and how your metabolism is working for you or against you, then you're going to have a tough time with fat loss, especially in menopause. I know you're here looking for answers, and I'm really wanting to educate you today on blood sugar, how to measure it, and just how important it is in your menopausal fat loss journey. These are blood sugar basics. I'm Connie Rutledge. I'm a functional nutritionist. I'm a fat loss specialist, and I help menopausal women just like you figure it out. And I even help perimenopausal women. So anywhere from about 40 years and up is when I see clients in my functional nutrition practice having real issues with inflammation, stubborn weight loss, very much instability in how your body handles the food that you're eating. And it's not all about what you're eating. It's about your lifestyle. Blood sugar management is essential. And when you understand it and are able to measure yourself, maybe with a glucometer or a CGM, then you're going to have a lot more information, a lot more awareness, a lot more ability to be able to track what's happening and manipulate it. A food log is always important. And if you're working with me, you know I will ask, what are you eating? How much are you eating? When are you eating? And how do you feel after you eat that? How's your digestion? There's a lot of things that go on in understanding how to formulate the best diet for fat loss. And it's not all about calories in, calories out. I mean, we want to know how that potato is affecting your glucose. Do you metabolize starch well? Do you do better with a little bit higher protein, higher fat, or not? I want to give you some anecdotal evidence that I use. In fact, today I thought this was a good example. I've been working with clients that are absolutely having a great time enjoying watching how their body's recovering after a meal. And I had waited a little bit too long. Well, let me go into what we need to know before we start measuring glucose. Our fasting glucose in the morning should be somewhere around 70 to 90. And if you're healthy and don't have cortisol issues, don't have too much stress, typically you'll see your glucose somewhere in there. And you're going to want to use a glucometer. I like Keto Mojo. I have a discount code in the description box, or you can go to my website in the resources and look for Keto Mojo. It's a glucometer. Most of you know what a glucometer is. And if you don't, my link is in the description box. You can get a discount, but learn a little bit more about how to measure your blood sugar after you're eating, before bedtime, upon awakening. Know what your metabolism is doing. Okay, so you get out of bed in the morning and you see sunrise, because that's important. Get out at sunrise, get your feet in the ground, barefoot, on the grass or on the cement, naked eyes in the sun, and just watch that morning sunrise. It resets your circadian rhythm. It resets your body's ability to make adequate cortisol, that wake up hormone. So you've heard me say that blue light, that morning sunrise is super important for your circadian rhythm. All right, so you you prick your finger, you test your glucose. So you're somewhere between 80 and 95. Fine. Understand that that's pretty typical, especially if you're stressed, especially if you have inflammation. But now we have that information. Now we know your baseline, and you can start to play with it. Did you get a good night's sleep? That's important. If you didn't get a good night's sleep, then your glucose is going to be higher because there's a stressor on board, right? If you have an infection, a hidden underlying gut infection, if you have a virus, all of that is going to increase your morning waking glucose levels. After sunrise, you're going to have breakfast. Obviously, we know, not obvious, we know that we want to have a high protein, moderate carbohydrate breakfast with good quality fats. Maybe it's 3 eggs, a few turkey sausages, and a half an apple, or a quarter cup of applesauce. You eat that meal and you test your glucose 30 minutes after eating. You test that glucose, prick your finger, use the meter, find your number. Let's say after eating that breakfast, 30 minutes after, your glucose increases by 15 points. If your morning reading was about a 90, then maybe you're at about 105 30 minutes after that meal. And that's great. That's exactly what you want. You're going to test it again. If you're new to this, you'll test it about an hour after that, and hopefully you're going to be down 80, 85 milligrams per deciliter. You're going to feel really good. You're going to hydrate. You're going to get some exercise, activity, go about your morning. Understanding that glucose reading about an hour after your meal is going to give you information about how your body used the fuel that you ate, how your body used the fuel that you fed it. You don't necessarily need to eat keto. You don't need to eat carnivore. You just need to understand that what you're eating has an impact on your blood sugar. Now you need to know that information if you want fat loss, because typically if you're not able to get your glucose down under 90, it's going to be difficult for your body to let go of fat. That means there's a lot of stress and you've got some healing to do. I have clients maybe with autoimmune issues that have had issues with fat loss. They are so frustrated because they just can't get their glucose down. That means to me, your body's under stress, and we need to find a way to mitigate that stress and let your body relax so it can let go. So when you wake up in the morning and your glucose is upwards of 95 to 120, then we need to talk. There's too much noise, there's too much interference for your body to be able to react reasonably and let go of fat. So just know that. It's time to really start understanding the lifestyle modifications of living, outdoors more often, getting away from EMFs, getting away from the overhead lights, getting more activity outside, hydration. There's a lot to this. And recharging your battery because you've been maybe on your computer too much, maybe you watch too much TV at night, maybe you're snacking during the day. All of those things contribute to really draining that battery. And as a menopausal woman or perimenopausal woman, we are stressed out. Our bodies are not really used to this type of drain. And understanding and awareness, getting back to nature is going to really replenish our voltage so that we have the bandwidth to heal and enjoy a body that we want to live in. How does your body handle the food that you're eating? Then, going through your day, when you have that noon meal or snack, whatever it is, if it's been a couple of hours, then prick your finger right before that meal. If you're shaky, then we know that you're needing some more support. Maybe you didn't get enough protein in the morning. Maybe you didn't get enough quality fat. Maybe you had a terrible night's sleep. Maybe you over-exercised. All of those things are going to contribute to how your glucose, how your blood sugar is handled in your body. And you want to keep that as steady as possible. So you're ready for lunch. You prick your finger and your blood sugar dips a little bit low. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe your glucose is low in the 70s. That's fine. Understanding that as you feed your body, because your body then, if you're lucky enough to have a glucose reading of 70 right before lunch, I'm thrilled at that. That means your body's used the fuel that you ate in the morning. You might be tapping into stored fat, and you're metabolically flexible. If your blood sugar is still high, over 90, then again, you've got work to do. Not to be undone by that. Just have the awareness. Just understand. Maybe what you're eating is something that you're sensitive to. Avoiding the grains, eating whole foods, seasonal carbs, nice quality foods is going to be key here. And it's not a quick fix. This is something that you're going to want to do week in and week out. Start a food log. Jot down that number so you know what's happening metabolically speaking. So your lunchtime pre-meal glucose is 70. All right, that's great. You're going to have your meal. Maybe you have a sandwich with sourdough, and maybe you're going to have some tuna. Maybe you're going to have a tuna salad on sourdough. One slice of sourdough bread, that's probably about, what is it? Maybe about 15 carbohydrates. The serving of tuna salad might have 20 plus grams of protein and a moderate amount of fat. Half an hour after that meal, I want to know what's happening. Did your glucose rise up to 90? That's 20 points. That's fine. If you had a meal with that one piece of sourdough bread and tuna, and you had a handful of chips or 2 handfuls of chips, and that half-hour glucose reading is well above 130, you know the problem. Those potato chips, that starch was too much, and you want to dial that back. All right, what you do then, if at all possible, is to get outside for a 20-minute brisk walk. You'll be shocked at how quickly that glucose is used up. We need to know what happens in our body as far as glucose metabolism and blood sugar regulation goes. I mean, it's everything. It regulates our hormones, it regulates our mood, our energy, our sleep. Those things are essential if you want to be healthy. Those things are essential for longevity, they're essential for fat loss, and it's everything. If you don't know this information, then I'd say that's the first step for you to move into awareness. Understanding how fasting and post-meal glucose, blood sugar should behave in a healthy body, that's important. How does it happen in your body? What happens if you do a longer fast? When I do a longer fast, my glucose usually rises. If I wait too long in the morning to eat and I check my glucose, it's typically 105, not typically under 90 like I want it. That's stress. My weight is under control. I work hard at that, but I do know that I have to eat responsibly. I have to eat enough, and I have to eat in intervals that support my body. Believe me, I had years of just muscling my way through. I had years of starving so that I could look the way I want. That wrecks a vitality marker. That really drains the battery. Now that I'm eating earlier in the morning, at least some protein and fat, gives me fuel. Now that I've found the optimal aminos, that protein source to really give my body fuel without calories, that's another game changer. Having proper fuel on board. I feel better, I look better, I don't worry too much about going into ketosis, yet I eat so that I'm almost always in ketosis a couple times a week. That's another conversation. My body's very metabolically savvy. I can handle a treat now and then, once or twice a week, but for the most part, I eat clean. I understand that if I do mess with my diet, for example, today, I ate more carbohydrates than I needed at lunch. I knew it was happening, I was okay with it, and I was curious because I was going to do this video. So I checked my glucose 30 minutes after a meal, and boy, I was upwards of 130 milligrams per deciliter, which that's high for me. And I thought, I'm just so curious. What's going to happen if I take a 20-minute walk? I put my shoes on and headed out for a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day today. I put my phone on airplane mode. I didn't listen to a podcast. I just enjoyed the day. 20 minutes walking with no ear pods, walking with no information going into my brain. I just walked. I got home. I tested my glucose. It was 74. 20 minutes, and I did that kind of work. My body used the sugar that I ate. It took care of it. So, I want you to be metabolically sound. I want you to have the ability to switch back and utilize the fuel that you're eating so that you feel and look the way you want to look. There's a lot of tools that can help with that. The GLP-1 microdoses can really be amazing so that your body is more, resilient. And certainly the GLP-1s help with food noise. They help in the microdose. I never ever think that they're good in the pharmaceutical doses. That's my opinion. They work well for many, but if you have issues with blood sugar regulation and you can't quite get your appetite under control, then maybe you want to try something like a GLP-1. But first of all, I'm going to ask you to find a way to do the testing, the glucose testing with the Keto Mojo or any, continuous glucose monitor. That's not my favorite because it is attached to Bluetooth. And we're finding that those EMFs are, okay, they're fine for 2 weeks attached to your body. I've done it, but I wouldn't do it anymore after the initial, learning period because I don't want the EMFs. I don't want that stress coursing through my body. I get enough of that. So learning how to trust your body, learning what happens when you eat a potato or a piece of sourdough bread or a piece of carrot cake. It really doesn't matter what you're eating, or Halloween candy for that matter. It's just understanding how it works with your metabolism, especially when you say you're stuck, especially when you say you can't lose weight, especially when you're frustrated living in a body with belly fat. These are tips, these are tricks, these are things that we talk about in the Jumpstart session. These are important tools to really help you move the needle so that you feel good, you feel supported, you feel like it makes sense again. Obviously, all of this is dependent on age and stage. Where are you in your life? Are you dealing with high blood pressure? Are you dealing with type 2 diabetes? Are you 30 plus pounds overweight? You've got to start somewhere. Get outside in natural light, eat outside, eat slowly. Don't eat after sunset. Don't snack during the day. Eat a Paleolithic, more whole food diet. Don't worry about calories, but worry about getting plenty of protein getting plenty of quality fats, and learn how to support your body. Recognize hypoglycemia, recognize blood sugar crashes. If that's happening to you, we've got work to do. Don't go cold turkey with a 24-hour fast. Don't eat every 2 hours. I mean, those are bad. That's not going to help you. Get on a schedule. Write down what you're eating. Contact me. Hopefully this was helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments if you've tried the Keto Mojo, if it's something you're pulling out of the cupboard and getting back to using, if you're surprised at how quickly your metabolism gets back in line. I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, and email me if you're curious. I have a 15-minute discovery call. If you want to work together, we can see if it's a good fit. Okay, happy eating. Come for the fat loss, stay for the longevity, and I'll see you next time.